Our next matter is not set until 1:35, but we have some gaps in here also because some other cases settled. Good afternoon, sir. Are you Todd Werner?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm Judge Middleton. You're here for a landlord-tenant case that we'll address here in a few minutes. Seems like we did this just a while ago, but I'm going to advise you once again of your rights as a tenant in a landlord-tenant proceeding. As a defendant in a landlord-tenant proceeding, including non-payment of rent, you have the following legal rights. You have the right to obtain counsel for representation in this matter. If you cannot afford an attorney, a legal aid attorney may be available to help you. You have a right to a trial by a jury or by the court. If the action is for non-payment of rent, and if you are eligible for any housing assistance, you may not need the judgment to get that housing assistance. The summons and complaint may be sufficient. If the plaintiff is agreeable, the Citizens Mediation Services, Inc. may be available as a possible source of case resolution. If both parties are agreeable to mediation, you can call the court and we can set that up. If you do reach an agreement with the plaintiff for settlement and a consent judgment is entered by the court, you would waive the rights listed above, but have the following additional rights. The judgment may not be enforced until 3 business days had passed. You could move to set aside the judgment within those 3 days if you misunderstood what you consented to or what you were waiving. Your motion to set aside the judgment would be set for a landlord-tenant hearing, but if the judge, namely me, did not find in your favor, the original judgment would stand. Your manager, Ms. Matson, is here, and Mr. Thornton, the attorney for the apartment complex, will sign in here any minute, but I thought we'd use this time to go through your rights.
Understand.
Mr. Thornton filed an accounting sheet with me saying that through March, you owe $1,112, utilities of $41.88, plus court costs of $182.72. So basically, you're in the March period, which is pretty good. I had a guy just a minute ago that hasn't paid rent since June of last year, and obviously that's a problem, but we'll make sure that's all still correct. Ms. Matson, as far as you know, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. Good afternoon, Mr. Thornton.
Good afternoon.
You're a little early, but so is everybody else. I've already gone through the advice of rights with Mr. Werner. Ms. Matson confirmed that the numbers you gave me are still accurate. So, Mr. Werner, the allegation is that you owe March's rent, some of it, $1,012.33 plus $41.88. So you must have paid some on this. What's your plan? Do you plan to stay there or plan to move?
I plan to stay here and pay rent, Your Honor.
Very good. Do you have a tax refund coming or anything?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Your Honor, I do. There was a garnishment levied on my taxes, which kind of messed things up. That should be resolved shortly, but I mean, I'm working, so I plan on paying rent. It's just been rough with inflation.
Yes, for everybody. Well, the law requires I continue this for 1 week. And that will give us 7 more days. And then you'd have 10 days from that day to pay the rent. And then we would also be into April. So there'd be another month's rent due for April. I just set that for about 15.
Well, Your Honor, hours have picked up at work. Rent will be paid next week for March, and then April will be paid after that.
Very good. All right, well, let's continue this to March 24th. Lance, I don't think you're here. Wait a minute.
March
You're
24th.
on, no,
It's open for me though, Your Honor.
all right, how about 10:50?
That works.
All right, Mr. Werner, if you pay the rent and everything is current, you don't even need to appear next week. If not, we'll address it further. And then I would give you an additional 10 days to pay the rent. But then we would add in April's rent because that would go into April's rental period. But we'll continue this till next Friday at 10:50. Rent, utilities, and the costs are 1,236, which is essentially about March's rent of 1,255. So if you get that paid, you're good to go. This is one of the more expensive. In fact, I think it's the most expensive apartment rental housing in the county. They're nice units and they're expensive, but if you get it paid, we're all good to go. We don't need to be here. If it isn't paid, we'll address it further, and I would give you 10 additional days to pay the rent or be prepared to move. Do you have any questions?
Well, yes, Your Honor, I do. So just so that I understand what you just said, if I pay rent before next Friday, I don't even show up?
Yes, confirm that with Miss Matson, but if everything is paid, you won't need to be there.
Okay, well, that brings a point that February's rent was paid before March, but here I am. And that's what the court paper stated, that this was for February's non-payment.
Well, the problem is at that point, they'd already filed the case. So now March's rent is due. So it takes a while to get these things. By the time they serve the notice to quit, file the paperwork, it gets served and the court schedules it. Yeah, it takes a while. So you've made a payment, which has changed the numbers, but this is quite common if it laps from one month into the next one. But if you pay March's rent, it'll also cover all at 1236. You don't need to be here. Otherwise,
Okay.
we'll discuss it further and I'll give you 10 more days. All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.